Hello everyone, this is Art with Granddad's Train Shed. So we have some progress here. We have a track that's just a temporary track set up. As you can tell, we're getting some sounds, horn. We have a case of some dirty train wheels which we'll straighten out. Let's show you the progress. So we have our Zephyr DCS51 set up and running. We've set up a Digitrax UP5 and an old UT4 throttle, which is actually what's hooked up to the train right now. Things are happening here. Let me show you a little bit about the electronics we did. We have the PM74 down below. So we have a DC board set up, which with a fan blowing some cool air on the PM74. We have the start of the wiring. We have some feeders set up down here. We have a local net cable, that was test cable, and another local net cable that's going over to the UP5. That's right here. So we've actually made some progress since the last filming. So I thought we would also discuss a few other things. What we have here is, this is the height of our table. Let's get this tape measure here working. The height of our table, as you can see, is about 50 inches. You might be asking why so high. And the bottom line is, it's easier to work on below the table. We have a little stool right here that you can roll around, and tools, so it makes it easier for Granddad to sit down, have a seat, slide himself under the table, and work on wiring, lighting, and our setup here. It's called Save Your Neck and Save Your Back. And you can slide out, because if you're like me, every time you get under the table, you realize you forgot a tool. So I went and bought this stool, which I actually think is a pretty good deal. This was on Amazon for about $38. So I got all my little tools under there. When I'm doing the wires, I put the wiring under, and I slide myself around. So this is part 1 of video 3. Next, we're going to talk about the solar power that's actually operating this unit. We are back. Now it's time to talk about solar power. So we have here a 12-volt battery. It's got 200 amp hours capability. So basically, from my little bit of research, my two 100-watt solar panels outside can recharge this with our Nevada sunlight anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. Now the manufacturer of the battery recommended actually 300 watts to charge a little quicker. So I have room to add another panel when the time is right. But meanwhile, all my testing has, with what I'm doing so far, so good. The blue little box you see on the battery is a Bluetooth device that gives me the temperature of the room and the status of the battery. Let's move on. The cables coming from the battery go to a fuse for protection, and then they're going into a 2200 watt by Jindal and pure sine wave inverter. So this is a pretty good inverter. There are better ones, of course, but for my needs right now, this will work well. Now this setup has actually been in use now for about 1.5 years, testing it. So far so good. Hooked up to the inverter is the Bitch Solar MPPT solar charge controller. It's a 40 amp. And basically what this does, this monitors the voltage coming in from the solar panels. It monitors the voltage going back out. When the battery has reached full charge, it actually will keep the battery from overcharging. And when the battery hits a certain level, it will try to make sure that we know that it needs more charge. Hooked up to that is what we call a BT1. It's a Bluetooth device also. So I can actually monitor how many volts are available on the battery and the status of the battery. We get a little bit of a history of what's been going on. And the black and red wires right here, these are the wires coming in from the two 100-watt solar panels. Coming back out of the, well, I should say that the purpose of this is we're bringing in 12 volts. We have 12 volts power on the battery, and we have 12 volts going into all the other units. But the idea of the inverter is to convert the 12 volts to 115 volts. Some people say 120, some say 115. So a standard US circuit plug. Now, coming out of the inverter, we have electrical socket, and that's actually, if you trace that, I move the wires so you can see it, to a power board, which is what's running the railroad, and the light inside the train shed, which I'll show you in a moment. Also coming out is hardwired, the yellow cord you see there, which is going to an electrical outlet, like a standard home outlet. One of those is powering the electrical table that goes up and down so I can get in and out of this place. And the other one is over here, and I use this right now primarily for soldering, for my tools when I'm working on the train. Eventually this will be dedicated to some online power on tracks. So this is the basic overview. And coming out of the power bar on the bottom, the second plug that you see there, that's actually going up to a LED light, which I'll show you. Now, one of the nice things about the train shed is that it's translucent. So all this light that you're seeing in here is light that's reflecting through. You do not need to use any lighting in here during the day. And then the LED light puts out quite a bit of light, as you can see. But you can see during the day, it's on now. Very, very slight amount of light that is being reflected from it. So we're getting a lot of power. We've tested it. I've run the light for almost a week straight, non-stop. It never drained the battery down to a point where we were out of power. And we do have the way the system's set up, we have a fault. If there is a problem, this will shut off the system and you can turn it back on. I think only twice I've had some weird thing happen. I'm not really sure. I think it was really cold one day and it shut it down. And then it got really, really hot in here and it shut the system down. So that's pretty good. So we can monitor the temperature in the room. We have the system that monitors the temperature. It can shut it down. We can monitor the voltage that's coming out, the voltage coming in. It's a very good system. I've tested it. My gut feeling tells me I can run a laptop and 2 or 3 locomotives at a time. The layout's not big enough to go any more than 3 locomotives. And I'm guessing I can run on any given day 4 to 5 hours worth of time before we need a recharge. So that's just our solar system summed up. And I hope that kind of answers some questions or brings up more questions. If you have any, please feel free to ask me. Do my best I can to give you more information. Part 3, video 3. This is Granddad from Granddad's Train Shed. My name is Art. What's been accomplished has been the track roadbed all the way around. We had to repair a couple of spots. I actually, after I did everything, I realized I had a few spots that weren't perfectly level, right there and right in this section. So we had to take this out and play with some plaster and get things smoothed out a little bit better. I noticed that the sections were messed up were the very first sections I did with the plaster cloth, and I didn't realize that I was a little bit off the center. When I made the plaster, I played a little bit with the rock molds, so it's hard to see the contrast on this right now, but this was the first rock mold, which we'll mess with in the near future. And then for the heck of it, I had a mold for a tunnel liner, and as you can see, I kind of messed that up. It's a little shy of plaster there, but we'll be able to repair that and actually use it. So as time goes on, I'll show you how I'll do some pigmenting on that and get that to look like real stone. And then finally I had for the train bridge, which is going to go here, I only had one bridge abutment. The other one I made years ago, or I had years ago, that we weathered broke. So I had to order a new one. And this is from Cooch Enterprises. I got this from an online store. We'll have to weather it. And then one of the issues right now is because I did not put the track at 4 inches on the riser. We're using a 2-inch riser. I'm gonna have to either cut this down or cut into the bottom foam. I think it measures just about perfect if I cut the bottom foam out, so I might do that. I have my reservations about cutting through this. Coming up next on video 4, we'll show some testing, why we're making test wiring, and all the tools used to do this. See you soon.